Welcome to the Virtual Career Lounge session, helping you be a greater you. I'm your host, Dali Perez. This lounge is designed to help middle and high school students prepare for life after school because, failing to plan is planning to fail. In today's topic, we're going to talk about workforce skills and soft skills, and we're going to talk about the essential workforce soft skills, hard skill needed for career success, including communication, teamwork, and problem solving. But before we start, we want to give a special thanks to the Career Lounge session sponsor EXL, a leading data analytics and digital operations and solutions company. If you want to learn more about EXL, go to exlservice.com. Thanks to their sponsorship, we are able to bring this lounge to you at no cost. And a little bit about us, we are L.O.V.E Youth. It's a 501c3 nonprofit organization providing programs for youth. Our mission is to leverage the power of collaboration to uplift and empower youth and their families within our community. But before we kick off today's topic, we want to learn a little bit more about our panelists. So I want to bring all of you guys and that you can start saying and sharing what's your name. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your current role at your company, and why did you choose your current career?
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Roshanta Torrance. I am a senior assistant vice president here at EXL LifePro. I lead our LifePro product team. We specialize in client upgrades, any issues they find in the system, inquiries, things of that nature. We service all of our client community for the LifePro product. I chose a career in tech because I was originally in the banking industry, and then that naturally led me to insurance. And then from insurance, I had a strong passion and desire as a systems analyst to transition more into the tech space. And so since then, I've been in this space for over a decade now, and I truly enjoy and have a passion for working in the tech space.
Who goes next?
Yep, I'll go next. Hello, everybody. My name is Pratima Shishodia. I live in Carmel, Indiana. I originally belongs to India. It's a very beautiful country. I born and brought up over there. I studied there. I started my career over there, and later in my life, my work and my career brought me over here in United States. So right now, I'm working here as a business analyst. I'm working in EXL Service Technology. It's a global analytical and digital solution company that deals in serving with various industries like insurance industries, industries, retail industries. So it's a multinational company. I'm glad to be the part of this company, and I'm glad that I have got this opportunity today to share my experience with you all guys. I have been, as far as my roles are concerned, right now I'm working as a business analyst. I have been to multiple roles. When I started my career, I was as a quality analyst, which is you can call it as a software tester that deals in making sure the quality of the product. And so I I gained the experience, I learned a lot in that space, and then I gained the expertise in that space. And after that, to enhance my role, to enhance my career, my organization gave me the opportunity to lift up my role from quality analyst to business analyst. And so right now, I'm working as a business analyst in EXL services. I have total of around 12 plus years of experience in working with insurance industries and working with my like my whole work experience revolves around working with insurance industries and different insurance products. I have gained a lot of expertise in working with different policy administration systems, I'm right now working in a very complex policy administration system, which is EXL's proprietary product. We call it EXL Life Pro. So I've got into this role because I did my graduation in Bachelor's of Technologies in Computer Science and Engineering. And when I was doing my graduation, I realized that I was not very much interested um, in learning new programming languages like Java, C++, C Sharp, and all of that stuff. I wasn't very much interested in knowing those languages, although those are very good languages to know. Those who would like to start their career as a software development, then they should go for learning those languages a lot. But I was more interested in knowing um, how the software is built and what it is take to build the software product. You cannot just code and build a software. There are other aspects also that you need to think about. So I was more interested in knowing and getting into that part, and that's how I ended up choosing this career as my career path as a quality analyst and business analyst. And as I grew in my career, I realized that I'm good in analytical thinking. I'm good in collaboration. I'm good in coordinating with my clients, providing them satisfaction. So you know, uh, getting customers' needs and delivering them uh, uh, what they ask for. So yeah, I mean, I love my job. I love whatever I'm doing right now, and that's the quality that I have learned so far over the period of time. Um, um, yeah, and in my downtime, I like to play. I like to spend my time with my kid. I have a 5-year-old kid. I like to read with him. I like to play with him, and I myself like cooking as well. So I like to cook food for my family, and as far as technologies are concerned, I always believe that we have to keep. Sorry. Um, as far as my as technologies are concerned, I like to keep myself up to date with the current technologies that are there out there and in the market, because I truly believe that if if you are the smartest person in the room, then that means you're not in the right room. Yeah, there is always out there something to learn, something to experience. Um, so yeah, and I am glad that I've got the opportunity to share this with you, because youths, they are the future, so they should know like what they should be doing, what they should do for their future. So yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Who's next? I believe it's Sarah.
I'm next. You guys hear me? Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm calling in from the rural town of Greenville, Tennessee, just a little north of Knoxville. I grew up in a tiny tobacco farming town in rural Virginia in the Appalachian Mountains. I went to James Madison University and I majored in technical and scientific communications. Basically, couldn't decide if I wanted to do English or physics, and so I picked a path right in the middle. But I was lucky enough to find a major that served me well, that interested me, and it's put me in a lot of good positions and has really given me a great career. So after college, I tried a brief stint in graduate school. It really ended up being not what I wanted to do. So I moved back home kind of as a boomerang kid just for a little bit, lived with my parents, and I actually taught public school for 3 years. I taught English to ninth and 10th graders. So I was teaching them Romeo and Juliet and Julius Caesar and all of these amazing grammar things. And I did that for 3 years before a college friend from who lived in the DC area recruited me to work for the federal government. So I moved to DC, and then I started my career inside the intelligence community within the federal government. So I worked at corporate for a little while my polygraph and clearance went through. And then I went on site to work at the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. So I started out editing and publishing intelligence reports for counterterrorism and counterproliferation teams. So we got to look at all the photos that the spy satellites take. And then imagery analysts would write reports about all the naughty things everyone around the country was doing. I learned so many cool things, but I can't tell you anything else because I don't want to go to jail. I did learn a lot of like really interesting software things that I hadn't really been exposed to in college, but as my first like real professional job, I got to take on a lot of new skills and learn a lot of like kind of industry standards things. So that was great. And that experience at NGA set me up so well for that. From there, I switched to a brief stint back at corporate as an instructional designer. I built a class for ex-military imagery analysts who wanted to pilot drones. And so that was outside of anything I'd ever done. I'd only been teaching like high school English. Like I said, I'd been teaching Shakespeare. And so then explaining how to fly and like operate predator drones was a completely different thing for me. So I learned a lot as I was building that class, which I love. And that's one thing I love about my career is that I get to learn a lot of different things in each place that I work. From after that project was over, I went back to editing on site. So I worked first at the DIA, Defense Intelligence Analyst Agency, sorry. And then after that, I actually worked at the CIA, and I got to edit the Presidential Daily Brief for President Obama. And I tried really, really hard not to draw little like hearts over all the eyes so that he would see them. After a few years there, I left the intelligence community and I went all the way on the opposite coast and moved to Seattle, Washington, where I worked in various industries as a writer and communications consultant. I worked in the healthcare industry, healthcare insurance, actually. I worked in spacecraft, so I was actually embedded with a team of literal rocket scientists. I worked for an avionics company. I got to ride in their little test airplane that they had. Like they had a sister company that developed a little tiny airplane, and I got to ride in it with the pilot who designed it, which was amazing. I even worked for FEMA in an underground bunker. So I've just like my job and career has taken me in so many interesting places all over the country in so many different interesting workplaces. After that, we moved back to Tennessee, my family and I, so I'm back in the Appalachian Mountains, very close to where where I grew up. And so now I get to work remotely when I first moved here, I actually worked as a communications consultant for a boutique firm. So I had several different clients. So I got to work for Microsoft. I handled legal briefings. So when one of their employees did something really salacious or naughty, I would get to write a brief about and then present it to all the other attorneys within Microsoft. I got to handle a hedge fund manager's pitch deck and promotional materials. And then I was a ghostwriter for a financial services company in the Bay Area. So I did all that remotely from my home in Tennessee on a little farm here. And then I started at EXL about 2.5 years ago, where I work on documentation and training, again, to support the same product, the L.O.V.E product. So that's where I am now. I've loved working for different companies and in different industries. Before this job, I'd never supported a software product before. So that's something that was new to me for this job. But again, that going back to that software product that I learned at NGA FrameMaker is how I actually got started at this job. And so I had this very niche skill that not a lot of people have. And so just being able to say yes to a skill to learning a new skill that I hadn't even heard of before has allowed me to be in some jobs that I've had over the years, including this one.
That's amazing. The question is, did you got to meet Obama? Well, just the hearts, right in the heart.
I did not. I did put like stickers on some of the drafts every now and then. When I thought they did a good job, I would give a list a gold star because they.
Yes, but that's amazing. That's an amazing experience. Thank you so much for sharing that. So,
Thank
estás?
Oh, okay. Thanks. I think the stage is all mine now. Hi, everyone. I'm so glad to see you here today. My name is Gautam. I originally belong to India. I'm from India. And to start with, when I was very young, I was born and brought up in a place which was very green. It was surrounded by mountains and rivers. And for a very long time, I just used to think that, the entire world was like this. When I realized that, there are things beyond what I'm seeing, what I wanted to do was I wanted to travel, but then I had no idea how I was going to travel because the place where I came from, that was quite small. It was quite a small city. I did my schooling, and during my schooling, at the time, we did not have internets or mobile, so I used to read most of the time. That was my favorite way of time pass, you could say. And then when I grew up, once I started my school, I was drawn towards studying science, and I did study science. But for some reason, once I finished studying that part, I switched to management and finance, and I graduated in finance. And till that time, I really had no idea what I was. I mean, I never really had a good idea, but what I really wanted to all I wanted to do was, I wanted to travel. Okay. So after finishing my post graduation, I joined a company that was a retail, and they used to manufacture chocolates. Can you believe it? So 1 year of my life after I finished all that, I spent most of my time eating chocolates and studying financial reports, doing some accounting stuff. And at one point of time, I just realized that I just cannot eat chocolates all my life and stay here. I wanted to go out and explore, right? So what I did was I have had many friends, and they had all traveled outside, to big cities. I wanted to go out and explore the world. And then because I came from a finance background, and I remember during that time, the insurance industry was coming up, it's big time. There was a boom. And I just happened to get this chance to work for an insurance company. They were the Indian wing of AIG. AIG is a big insurance company. I started off as an operations manager there, and but I was still in the same city, and I still had the dream of going outside, but I just didn't know what to do. The other thing was I'm a single child, and sometimes I used to think that me going outside might also mean that I have to leave my parents behind. So that used to trouble me a lot. But um, what happened was I was working for that company as an operations manager, and at some point in time, one of my friends who used to stay in another big city in India, so he approached me saying that they have got this thing. It was a technology company, and they needed people who knew insurance, life insurance to be precise. And then he said, just come over, and I just packed my bags one fine day, I just found myself in this big city, and I was like, it was like a culture shock for me when I went to that city for the first time. And this was a technology company, and I really don't have any background in technology, meaning I knew math, I knew basic computers, but beyond that, nothing. So it was very exciting. I think for the the first couple of years of my journey in the technology world, it was nothing short of an adventure. I still remember the first 6 months, I did not even know what I was doing, because my employers, they came to me and they just said that you have to do this, you have to do make an Excel sheet, and you have to write some stuff here and there. After 6 months, I came to know that what I was doing for those 6 months is nothing but testing. And my journey was it has been full of surprises. So once I came out of that profile, and then I joined another company as a business analyst, and then things kept happening, life happened, and then I got the chance to travel abroad. I remember the first time I was asked to go to London. I was so excited, meaning I just cannot tell you. And I still remember when I was flying, and when the plane was landing, and then from the airport I could see the Big Ben and the Thames River. I was so excited. So that was how everything started. And of course, after that, I got to travel a lot. I have worked across a lot of different software consulting companies, mostly as a business analyst, and I traveled a lot all across Europe for at least the first 10 to 12 years of my career. But then again, I wanted to see the US because I've never been to this country. So I kept switching jobs, switching cities, and I start building on my experiences. And then I came to the US some 6 to 7 years back. I was working for another company, and I have been with EXL for 1 year now. And trust me, like, it has been really exciting. As I said, like, my life has it's nothing, like, it has been an adventure. And it's the same here, like the stuff that I'm doing, learning new things, getting to meet new people, and learning new technology tool, all those things. Since all of you are so young, I don't want to get into the details of all these things. There is one thing that I just want to tell you, that, like, if you have a dream, if you dream of something, that dream always comes true. Even if you don't know how you're going to achieve it, the way to do it is that, like, you should always stay in the state of your wish fulfilled. You should, like, sort of always visualize yourself that, like, whatever you wish for has come true. And trust me, if you stay in that state, if you really believe that, like, what you want is what you already have, things will just happen to you, right? And then I don't want to take much time for, like, what I do when I'm not working. I read. I like reading. In fact, like, in today's time, I think, like, that's the only thing that I do. I used to write when I was in school and when I was in college. I used to write, but then I lost touch with writing. A long time after, like, after spending some 15 years in the technology world, I just decided, I don't know, some, like, I was in the UK at that time, and then I just decided that, I need to write something. So I started scribbling, and that continued for, like, 1 or 2 years. And then whatever I had scribbled, like, there were notes, like, I used to type on my laptop. And I had this journalist friend of mine, and I casually mentioned to her one day that, like, I've been, like, writing all these things. She told me that, why didn't you send me, like, what you've written? And I didn't do it for the longest time. But then she was after me, and then one day when I sent her the, like, all my writings, she sort of went through them, and she said that, this is something which it should be published, and she told me that, like, write it again, and let's, like, build a manuscript. You should have a manuscript, like, that's what is called, like, before you have a novel published, right? So I spent another couple of years writing that manuscript, or, like, and then, that's how I've published my first novel. I really don't want, like, to talk about this much, but then I think, since you guys are so young, right? You have so many things, lot to see in your life. So I just wanted to tell you that, this is another thing that I've always, like, writing. So that's how my first novel was published, and it was, like, it was well received by the reading community. A couple of years down the line, I wrote my second novel, and, like, nowadays I don't get much time, but whenever I get some time, I'm writing my third. Hopefully someday it'll be published. So yeah, that's been my journey pretty much. On my family, I have a daughter who's, like, she's 12 now. She's going to school, and my parents, they stay in India, and yeah, life is good. EXL is good. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much.
That's amazing. What are the names of the novels that you wrote?
Okay. The first novel that I wrote is titled Rafflesia, the Banished Princess. It's not a fantasy novel. It's about a person, and it tracks his life journey. But it's a story within a story. So this story, the name of the story is, it's actually fairy tale, and, like, the story is about, like, how the life of the person who is, like, who is, like, journeying through his life. The novel tries to draw a contrast between his life and his favorite fairy tale. That's the story. I mean, and then, so it was very heavy, because a lot of people told me that, like, when they read the book, it left them heavy chested. I should be writing something very light and funny. So the next one is, it's a romance novel. It's something very basic. It's called When Jay Met Pia. It's about a boy and a girl. They meet each other, and then what happens, all that thing. And the one that I'm writing right now, it's tentatively titled The Journey to the Palace of God. It's a very different subject. It talks about the challenges that you face in life and how you overcome them. And when you face challenges in life, you don't always get people to support you, because, most of the time you just realize that you're fighting alone. So, how do you do that? How do you fight with things? Not fight. How do you overcome the struggles that you have in your life? How do you always keep yourself motivated, inspired, despite not things always not happening in your favor? So that's kind of the main theme of the novel. But I'm still writing. I don't know when it will be published, but I just hope that someday it does.
That's
Okay.
amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
sharing that, because, it not necessary. We all have different talents, and I believe that we should at any point tap into them and trying to develop those, maybe artistic, or like Sarah was sharing, she was into English and physics. Like, it seems like they don't connect, but they do, because we have those different talents. So thank you so much for saying that, because not necessarily we gotta stick with one thing, but we can, develop a couple things in the talents that we all have. But the thing is that whatever the talent is, we need to develop some skills, right?
Right.
So whether it's soft skills, hard skill, those skills need to be in place in order to be successful in what we do. So we want to start the topic by defining, right? What is a soft skill? What is a hard skill? What are those workforce skills that what is that and why is that important to have it in today's life?
So the hard skills are those things that you need to do as far as education, right? So what are you going to do to put yourself ahead of the rest, right? As far as getting education, learning, growing your skill set, right? The hard skills is what I always say is what's going to get you in the door from the first phase, right? If we think of gates, from the first phase when you're working with a recruiter to get hired on from an employer. So you want to make sure that you take school seriously, you do the things that you need to do to continuously educate yourself. Those are the hard skills. Those are the things that, hey, I have the knowledge, I have my degree, but even beyond that, once you get the degree, it's a continuous state of learning, especially in the space that we're in. We're in the tech space. So as you guys know, you're hearing the buzzword AI, chat GPT for a lot of you from the community that we're talking with. That's the new thing right now for a lot of the students who are in school. So there's a lot of things that are hitting the market now. And so you want to make sure that you keep yourself constantly connected to whatever that career path is. I always say you're always in a constant state of learning, even when you land the dream job or even when you're through college, you got to continue to educate yourself. That's the hard skills. When we talk about the soft skills, those are the things that are going to make you you, right? Now, how do you interact? How do you engage with others, right? Do you know how to enter into the workforce? Do you know how to treat others with respect? How are you navigating, your day-to-day operations with other team members who you work with? So I always say the soft skills are really, really key because those are the things that people are going to see when they engage or interact with you. They're not going to know your level of education. Again, that's the hard skills. Those are the things that you're going to do to get past the first gate to get in the door. It's all about those soft skills because that's what people are going to remember you for. That's what you're going to be known for as far as your reputation. So you want to make sure that you learn what those soft skills are. And sometimes, when you enter into the workforce, culturally, what does that workforce look like? Right. So sometimes you have to navigate that journey of the workspace so you can understand the culture because sometimes your soft skills are going to be a part of how the culture is. I'm not saying you have to change who you are as a person. Remember, you need to always be authentically you. But when you're in different cultural environments, and when I say culture, I'm meaning work culture. Every company has a work culture. You have to figure out what that is. And as a part of your soft skills, that is how you navigate, that journey of whatever that culture is for the workforce. So soft skills to me are just as important as the hard skills because the soft skills are the things that you're going to use every single day when you open up your laptop or when you walk into that office. You got to be able to have really good soft skills as you're interacting and behaving with other people. I think it's key.
Whoever wants to go
So,
next.
okay, so yeah. So if I'll talk about hard skills, I'll say that every job that you do, it requires certain technical skills to perform specific task for the position that you are hired for. So, for example, I'll give you an example like an accountant. He should know if he would like to work as an accountant, he should know how to create and how to interpret the financial reports. If you would like to work as a nurse, then you should know how to insert an IV. If you would like to work as a welder, then you should know that how to safely use the welding equipments. So hard skills are the skills that you develop, that you learn during a certain period of time, and that uh, develop your skills throughout your experience of workforce. So yeah, I mean, each and every employee should learn the hard skills throughout their course of work on their day to day daily daily job. So yeah, uh, these are the hard skills for me. And if I'll talk about the soft skills, I'll say soft skills are the ability to complete the task. Um, it range from the easy task to the harder task. For me, soft skills are, kind of personal attributes. Soft skills deals in, your common skills. It can be people, speech skills, power skills, or your language skills, your leadership skills. These are skills that are generally these are the skills that help you and build yourself in your career. And that's the importance of soft skills, that it applies to each and every profession. um, the most important soft skill I can think of is the communication skill. So it is the key that you communicate yourself in front of others, or in front of the people you're talking to. Communication is not like how frequent, how fluent, or how fast you can talk. Communication means how you can make the person to which you're talking to, make the person understand what you're trying to say. So there are for me there are different levels of communications, and it depends on in which professions you are working on. Like if you're working as a lawyer, you should be very effective in communicating and delivering your speeches, delivering your point of view on the case you're working on. And if you're working as a leader, then you should have very strong speech and delivering, so you can influence the people that you are giving your speech to. So as a workforce employees, I can say they should need to work on their soft skills for the success, because they are soft skills are the behavioral traits, that employees that builds your career within your workspace, and helps employees work better with their colleagues and build stronger customer and peer-to-peer relationships. So yeah, I mean, communication is the key of the soft skills. And there are other soft skills also that will help you in building your career in a workspace, like collaboration, teamwork, willingness to learn things, and ability of listening to others. That's called active listening. And so yeah, I mean, that's the soft skills for me.
I can go next. I feel like we've already covered hard versus soft. So I'm just going to talk about two soft skills that I think are super important and that have served me well. So first, kind of piggybacking on what she just said, is the ability to communicate, but also the ability to have confidence and poise when you're speaking. I should have worked on this a long time ago, but I realize its importance, and that's something that I would say, like, if I could go back and tell my high school self, like, you should do this more. I'm a late in life theater girl. My daughter and my daughter's 10. She and I were just in Newsies in the spring, and I just did my first performance last year as an adult. I've never done theater before until last year. And she and I are currently in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And you guys, theater has been so much fun, and I am so jealous of seeing her get to grow up as a theater kid. It's amazing, and it's teaching me so many things as an adult, but also teaching her so many things as a kid. She's recognizing tone of voice when people speak, emotions, motivations. She can read subtext like a champion. All of these nuanced skills she's recognizing and learning as a 10-year-old are positioning her to be so savvy and so aware, and also so adaptable to different situations that she will find herself in as an adult even. Um, Another thing that I think that like I would tell my past self, like, go join a theater because you learn to work on a team for a common purpose. And I know that there are a lot of places that you can do that too, like team sports, right? For an example, like, but theater has this thing where you have to chip into these parts aren't like that aren't visible to everyone, right? So like you get good at chipping in, measuring people for costumes or moving set pieces, things that the audience will never see, and as such they'll never applaud for. But it's a good lesson on how to add value to community where you can, even if you never receive recognition. And I'm not saying that recognition isn't great, because it absolutely is. And it's actually a big part of that workforce culture that Rashanta was talking about. But being able to do thankless tasks because you're working for something that you believe in is really important. And along the way, it will theater or public speaking classes or debate club, any of those things where you're forced to get up and take on a crowd and react. I mean, improv, oh my gosh, like improv is terrifying, but also is so fascinating and so good. So get involved in something like that if you're looking to develop those soft skills for how to read a room or how to act in a room, or how to adapt to conversations, or just how to be um, more socially savvy. That's like the number one. Secondly is be curious. And curiosity is going to like waterfall all of these amazing things that are going to, it's going to hit like critical thinking, it's going to hit listening, all of these soft skills. But I think, like, as a high schooler, if I could go back and just learn how to be curious, I think it would help me, because it's going to lay the foundation for a lot of great things. So you got to learn to ask really good questions by being really curious. And you're probably going to have to work on finding your curiosity again, because I'm guessing that the adults in your life probably squashed that a little bit years ago when you were a toddler. Did you know that the average 4-year-olds ask 400 questions a day, you guys? 400. And your adults have probably been like, you know what, that's probably enough. So it's time to resurrect that nature and be curious about when people are talking. Like, if you're talking to someone who's really excited or really happy about something they're telling you, ask a little question like, what is it about that experience that's making them so happy? What piece of the story is giving them that little spark? Or anger, even. Anger is a really interesting place to get curious about, because people get angry about what they're passionate about. So if you can see someone, a friend or a parent or even yourself, get angry about something, stop first and say like, what is this, like, what's this teaching me about this person? Are they really angry because someone overtook someone? Like, maybe they really care about the little guy or the underdog, right? So anger is an interesting place. And it also, like, not just for other people, but it goes for you too. You get yourself, feel yourself getting angry or jealous or happy. Like, if you can be aware enough to realize those emotions in yourself and then get curious about what those things are telling you, like, your life, it's a little game to improve your life step by step. And I'm going to give you a quick example. I'm divorced. My 10-year-old is amazing, and my ex and I have a good relationship. She's spending more time with her dad's new girlfriend, which is great. And I think it's wonderful. And she was bragging last weekend. She was like, oh, I got to hang out with Miss Natalie without her daughters, and it was really fun. We baked a pie and we did art, and I got to paint a sunset, and I felt a little twinge of like jealousy rise up in me. And I was like, oh, she gets to be the fun one in the relationship, because I still have to be mom, right? Like, I'm fun. And I took my daughter to New York this New York City this summer, and we saw 2 Broadway plays in one weekend. So I get to do big things. But this jealousy streak popped up, and I was like, that feels not good. But what does that teach me? And so as I was curious about the situation, I actually realized that I was jealous that Natalie was getting to do like fun little things on like a Tuesday evening or a Saturday morning. And so I missed that. It reminded me that I missed that part of hanging out with my daughter. And so I prioritized making time for the little fun things. And so I asked her to help me make dinner the other night, and we had so much fun. And then I asked to play Mario Kart with her yesterday. And I just have had the best time because I got curious about my jealousy. So again, like public speaking, theater, debate, all good things too, but work on that curiosity too, because that's going to trickle down and do so many good things for your life, professionally and personally.
I love that so much. And one of the things that you said, Sarah, that is very important is that when you get that jealousy that you felt, you didn't react it, right? So that's part of the, the soft skills that we need to have when we're encounter those difficult moments. How we're going to react? Is it that, okay, we're identifying something, am I going to solve it instead of reacting through that jealousy? So that's also a big, big, big one that we need to implement, not just in our personal life, but also in our work space. Because when we are working with people, you know, there's challenges all over the place, and those things are going to happen. We're going to be triggered sometimes. So how are we going to react? Are we going to explode at the moment, or we're going to take a step back and think, okay, why this is bothering me? How are we going to solve it? So thank you so much for sharing that personal experience.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know if you got them, you have something that you want to share.
Actually, everyone has said so much about this. I really don't know what else could I add to this one. But then, yes, I just a couple of things. I mean, but like Roshna spoke so well about what are the hard skills and soft skills, and Pratima she elaborated on that, and Sarah came up with such beautiful personal examples. I would say, I mean, I will not really talk about hard skills and soft skills, but what I would say is that of course, like when you go through formal education, you learn a few things, and then you think that with these things you'll end up in a career, eventually you'll end up into a career, and then maybe at some point of time you realize that this is not something which I don't want to do. Maybe I want to do something else, and then you again like learn something, right? So that is a cycle which is kind of like it is something which never ends, right? So as Pratima was saying, that like if you're in a room and you think that you are the best, then you are not, right? So I would just like to say that again, there's always scope for learning, and hard skills, whatever you want to learn, be it technology, music, games, anything, that learning always continues. So far as soft skills are concerned, I wholeheartedly agree with Sarah when she talks about the first thing I think she talked about was confidence and curiosity. Confidence, trust me, is like it's so important. So sometimes in your life, be it in your professional life or be in your personal life, you might come across situations where you may not know about certain things, right? Like, but then if you have the confidence, then because when you're confident, you can convince and you can persuade. So that's why confidence is so important. So whatever you do in your life, even if it is wrong, I mean, if you even if you realize that okay, what you're doing is not wrong, be have the confidence to admit that what you're doing is not wrong, and then you have to sort of like change that. The one thing that I wanted to mention here is that all of you, like whoever is watching, you will be going to college, and then you'll be going on to you'll be picking up your careers, right? So we are like the times we are in today, most of the stuff that we do, uh, we eventually at the end of the day we are just like serving our customers, right? Even in the technology industry, like we have the end customers that we serve. And one of the important things that I personally feel that you should have when you are in a customer oriented role is to be an empath. You should have empathy. You must have heard something called design thinking. That's a different concept, and that talks about a lot of these things. So when you are a person who is empathetic towards others, it's sort of you putting in their shoes, trying to understand their problem from their perspective, and then trying to provide a solution to them. So that's what I think is one of the important things. And the other thing that Sarah was when she was talking, I was thinking like she was talking about these circumstances when you feel emotions, right? Which that these are negative emotions. So I just want to add to what Sarah has said, that you always have a choice as a person. You have multiple versions, right? So right now, like the version that I'm talking with you, it's one version of me. So the moment this meeting ends, the podcast ends, I'll be another version, right? So at any point in your life, whenever you feel triggered, when something negative comes in, you always have a choice. You could either dwell in that situation, be that person who is angry, who is probably frustrated, or who is reacting. That's one choice. The other choice is you can just look away and think and say to yourself, everything in my life is easy and perfect. Good things are happening to me right now. So what I personally do is that whenever I face any challenging situation in my life, it could be anything in my profession or in my personal life. Whenever such things happen, right? I see, this is something which is easier said than done. If I tell you that don't get angry, don't get triggered, it's very difficult to do. This is something which happens with time. You have to practice yourself, meaning you just have to affirm, repeat these things in your mind, like as I say that good things are happening to me, and I'm the best person in the world, and no one compares to me, things like that, right? So as you do try to, keep start doing these things, they sort of they will form a belief in your subconscious mind, because we are nothing but we are just a set of beliefs. So like the way we have grown up, the experiences that we have had in our lives, so we have our a belief system, and our reactions are nothing but a result of like what is our belief system, what is there in our subconscious mind, right? So yeah, so you could try to do that. It's a fun thing to do, when you start saying all these things to himself, to yourself, the first thing that will hit you is disbelief. If somebody's shouting at you, you feel like shouting back at them, and then you're saying that no, everything is fine, that person is not shouting at me, in fact, like that person is talking to me so nicely. So first time, initially, when you start doing these things, right, you face a lot of resistance. But what happens is that over a period of time, once you start telling all these things to yourself, right, you become less and less negative. Or sometimes even if you face situations that are not in your favor, you will be in a position where you could just sort of sort of you'll be in a position to ignore those things, right? So be positive, and keep affirming to yourself that good things are happening to you every day, and that you are the best. Yeah, that's it.
That's amazing. And time flies. But before we go, I do want to go back because Sarah talked about like her personal experience and how she exploring the theater and all that. So what would be what you guys say is it would be like a soft skill that has helped you, right? Because we don't have like a strength in all of them, but there's always something that has helped you through your workplace and all that in your life. Because like Rashenta was telling at the beginning, the hard skill is that education that's going to get you at the door, but then what's going to keep you there is those soft skills that you develop. So what would be something that has helped each and every one of you in those difficult times that you have encountered in your professional lives? Because today, this generation, the digital aspect and all that, they're lacking sometimes from those soft skills. And I mean, even my teenagers sometimes like, okay, how can we solve this? I don't know. And I don't know. And every time it's, I don't know. Well, let's think about it. Let's try to come with a solution. So what would be that soft skill that you've said, this has helped me a lot through my journey in my career?
So for me, I try to find outlets to be able to, because most of the time when you're trying to navigate, again, I always say the workforce culture, right? Every company has it. You have to find your own individual outlets. So for me, I like to cycle. So I will jump on my Peloton bike. I will put my headphones on. I'll rock out or, roll out to, a specific, whoever I'm feeling for the day, right? Because they have so many selections you can choose from. And then I'll just kind of use that as an opportunity to free my mind, think clear, right, about how my work day went. And then I can use that to say, all right, because through that isolation period, some people meditate, people have their own ways of doing things. I feel like when I just give myself that downtime, I'm able to think clearly about what happened, to be able to approach things differently. So if I've had a bad day, I'll do that Pilates. It's other things that you can do to just kind of think through. Like that gives me a chance to just reflect. And through that reflection, I'm like, oh, okay, I see where I could have handled something differently. Okay, tomorrow, this is what I'm going to do, right? Leading, I have 3 teams that report to me. So leading 3 different teams, you can just imagine I have different things that I'm encountering each day. So I use those as an opportunity for me to just become one with my thoughts and figure out how I'm going to engage and interact, when I encounter that again, right? How am I going to approach it differently next time?
Okay. So for me, I'll just say like no matter in what position you are, no matter what are your responsibilities, each and every employee in the workplace eventually face some problems, some difficult time. And I have also faced various difficult times in my in my career. And um, I have experienced different kind of situations where I felt very low, and I felt of like leaving out, going, leaving everything behind, and moving forward. So so then I learned problem solving like skills. I felt like you should not just shut down whatever happens and wait for someone else to tell you what to do. Instead of this, I kept myself in a very uh, calm way, and I talked to myself, and I've realized that like when you understand what is going on, when you understand what the problem is, and when you think about the problem instead of running out from the problem, when you actually think about the problem, and when you understands the root cause of the problem, you would eventually get the answer to yourself, like how you can solve the problem. So I truly believe that instead of uh, shutting down yourself, you should always face the difficult challenges. You should always overcome your skill, your difficult time in the world. Like there are times when you feel yourself pressurized, so you should know like um, how to overcome from these difficult situations. So I always divert my mind. I always I like to read books. I like to listen to music. So whenever I feel like I'm a little low, I don't really feel good at my workplace. So I like to divert my mind, totally divert my mind from my work, and I like to listen to soft musics and all. So I can next day when I'll come and log in, I can work peacefully. Yeah. And I think someone having these strong problem solving skills can keep the workplace uh, workplace productivity high.
I don't know if Sarah, you want to add something to that, or Gotham?
Sure, yeah. I think what's served me well is a growing sense of awareness. I don't think I used to be as aware as I am now, which is good that it's getting better. But just the ability to just step back and understand things about myself, like the jealousy situation or emotional regulation. There are all of these awareness things that I think are really important that allow me to see where my strengths are. Like what I'm said, like empathy is one of my I call it my superpowers, and my sense of adaptability has also served me well. So it's allowed me to go to different companies and even work on a serial contractor basis, kind of where I can go in for 3 to 6 months and do a job and then get out. Like that's been great. Also, I think that just a sense of self outside of work is also just really grounding and it helps keeps things in perspective. And so I know a lot of people are super enthusiastic and work is a big part of their identity, but I think being able to have a sense of self outside that job so that no matter what goes on in your workforce or in your job or with your team, no matter what's happening in your work life, that you're able to go outside of it and know who you are and what's important to you outside of your work too, and being able to know where that line is and to be able to balance what's worth stressing over and what's not, or what's worth working hard for, and what's not is always helpful for me too. So I think it's a sense of awareness, adaptability, and a sense of self are the things that have done me well.
Okay, my turn. Okay. I think like everyone has spoken so much about this thing. There are three things, three P's, I'd rather say. The first one is passion. The second one is patience, and the third one is persistence. So these three things, whatever you're facing in your life, whenever you're facing any difficult situation in your job, uh, never lose the passion. Like what you're doing. The patience, you should always be patient, and you should always be you should always persist. So if you keep these three things in mind, I think you can pretty much these things will see you through any tough situations that that you may come across. And finally, I think, just having the faith that whatever you are faced with, it will always turn in your favor. So yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. Before we go, we do want to ask you one question, one fun fact question. So, if in 10 seconds you can share what will be your comfort food? For me, it will be pizza. That's it. Pizza anytime, anywhere. It doesn't matter, but not anywhere. A good pizza. That will be my comfort food. What about you, Rochanta?
Sushi. So I love sushi. Actually, me and my best friend, we love the sushi spot. So we went there yesterday. So I'm excited to eat my leftovers for lunch. So sushi is one of my favorites.
Awesome.
Not the raw one, you know, it has to be a little bit cooked. So sushi.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's pizza. I love, veg pizza a lot.
I think I'll have to go with like a hot fudge cake sundae, like something gooey and chocolatey and a little salty, probably.
Too.
I like chocolates and ice creams. Even if you wake me up at 2 a.m. in the night and come to me with an ice cream, it's always a yes for me.
Nice. I mean, at any time I can have breakfast. I like to have breakfast at any time, but if it will be a comfort food, it will be pizza.
Mhm.
Yes. So thank you so much for being here. I think this has been a valuable conversation with a lot of tips, a lot of insights. So I appreciate you guys for being here with me today. Thank you so much for taking the time to be part of this virtual career launch session. And thank you, all of you, for joining us. We hope today's conversation has given you insight and clarity in making plans for life after school. So we want to give a special thanks to Career for this Career Launch section's sponsor, EXL, a leading data analytics and digital operations and solutions company. If you want to learn more about EXL, go to exlservice.com. Thank you to their sponsorship. We can bring this lounge to you at no cost. So we look forward to seeing you at the next virtual career launch sessions. All the sessions are here on our YouTube page. So make sure you go to the playlist, you watch them, you like, you share, you comment, and keep connected with us because we're going to keep bringing this launch session to you. So thank you for joining us. See you next time.